Hi guys, good day. Mark here again and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, you love cars, DIYs, and anything car related, please consider subscribing and check out my playlist. Okay, so for today guys, I'm gonna show you on how to actually replace the radiator fan motor for your Hyundai Eon. Might it be a bolt-on motor, a conversion like what I have. This would be the second time that I'll be replacing my radiator fan motor. What I do is every 3 years or 40,000 kilometers, whichever comes first, I always replace my radiator fan motor, even if it's still running smoothly. Because if you encounter overheat, especially when you're on a long trip or on a vacation, aside from that being expensive, you're gonna put your engine at risk or worse, being damaged. Okay, so that's why I replace my radiator fan motor every 3 years again, or 40,000 kilometers. Replacing your radiator fan motor is much cheaper than having your car towed, or worse, replacing or rebuilding the engine. Alright, so I do have a video already on how to remove the radiator fan assembly. I'm going to show you today on how to remove the actual motor itself. Alright, so as you can see, I already removed the assembly. Okay, so first thing that you want to do is you want to remove this lock, this one. Okay, so it's very simple to remove. All you need to have is a flathead screwdriver. Okay, place it like this, and then using your flathead screwdriver, okay, just push the clip outwards. And there you go. And
a few moments later,
screws this one on the fan motor, and then I'm just gonna work my way onto the bracket. Okay, so let's remove this 3 Phillips screws. So as you can see guys, my fan motor is already converted. So this is the original socket, and I got it converted since I am not using a bolt-on radiator fan motor. So this is for Hyundai Grand Starex. So we got one removed, second one, and then you might want to support the motor itself. So I'll be using the circuit fan motor, because the Korean motor is already been ordered, and I'm gonna ship it later. Remove the socket, and then you can just so there you go, and then you should be able to pull out the motor. And then what we're going to do is we'll try to remove this plate. All right, so what I did was, after removing the blades, if you want to be lazy like what I'm doing, or like I do, is you just want to smash gently the fan motor rod, like this one. Okay. And okay. So you can see, guys, how thick this motor is. This is the fan motor for Grand Starix. That's why it's really thick. So let's compare this to the Eon motor. So let's. Alright. So this is the Eon fan motor, and on the right is the fan motor I'm using for Grand Starix. Okay, you see how thick this is. All right, so let's set that aside, and I'll be putting the circuit fan motor. So, like what I mentioned, guys, I do not sell products that I do not personally use. All right, so the reason why I'm doing this is because I'll be traveling to up the north next week with my wife. So I'm just making sure that there wouldn't be any trouble during the trip. So using your long nose, just like that. All right, so after removing the blades and the old motor, we'll be placing the new motor to the assembly. You will notice, guys, come closer. You'll notice that this one perfectly aligns to the holes. But sometimes if you'll be doing some conversion, like for Starix or Grand Starix, you will need to remove this part and place a new hole. Like it's gonna end up like that, guys. So you'll see two of the holes are fine, and then one hole is not. So you'll need to remove this and put a new hole. That's for conversions. And for the terminals, you'll need to remove this or splice this and replace this with the socket that comes with your original fan motor. So for this one, since this is specifically made for Hyundai Eon, you can see all three holes are perfectly aligned. So what I'm going to do now is I'm gonna secure the motor in place. And by the way, guys, the motor that I replaced, that's already 3 years old. So I'm not gonna like put it in junk. I'm thinking of just selling it since it's 3 years old, but it only ran about 30,000 kilometers, give and take. And I'm pretty sure it still has a lot of juice in it. So or I might just keep it and just use it as a spare. Yeah, I might just use it as a spare motor, because when it comes to electricals, you never know when those things will break down. So preventive maintenance is really important. Okay. Just making sure that all the screws are locked in place, because this one spins hard. Okay, then put back the terminal like that, which looks neat. And then let's not forget the blade. Okay. So just make sure that it's properly aligned, just like that. And let's put back the clip. There you go. And just like that, guys, there's really nothing left to do here but to return the fan motor assembly. I'm gonna return it now, and I'm gonna show you the after. Okay. Alright, so guys, I just finished putting back the radiator motor assembly in place. Check that out. So that's the old motor, and I'm using the circuit radiator fan motor for Hyundai Eon. So as you notice that my coolant is on the same level, but since a lot of coolant actually went out when I removed the upper hose, I'm gonna wait for the coolant to go down once the thermostat valve opens up, after they call it priming the cooling system. So similar with flashing. So even if you top up everything after you use the car, you'll notice that the reservoir coolant is gonna go down. So that's what I'm going to do as well. Do not top up coolant when your engine is hot or running, because you will introduce air to the cooling system, which is harmful for your cooling system, and that will cause bubbles to the cooling system of your car. Okay, so time to start up the engine and see if the fan is working. Alright, so first time to start up the engine after replacing the radiator fan motor. So that's the mileage, 70,658, and this is going 6 years on October. Okay, so let's start the engine and let's turn on the AC. Let's check if the fan is working. Nice. Oh yeah. So guys, when replacing the fan motor, make sure that the rotation of the blades is to suck out, or basically the air should be blowing on this direction. Okay, so if it's going that way, you'll just need to interchange the terminal on the motor, which is that one. Okay, so just interchange the color so the rotation will be reversed. So that only applies if you are converting your fan motor, like for Grand Starex, Hyundai i10, or whatever motor. I do believe I read somewhere that Nissan fan motor works as well for Hyundai Eon. So I haven't tried it yet. What I've only tried is for Grand Starex, i10, and Eon. So that's for Grand Starex, guys. So the fan is working, and you'll see, guys, the coolant is starting to go down. So I'm just waiting for the engine to reach its optimum temp, and once I'm sure, so I'm gonna zoom in, guys, so you'll see. So the, the coolant is starting to go down. Okay, so I'm just gonna wait for everything to the coolant to recirculate on the system, and that's the time I'm gonna switch off the engine and top up my coolant, which is Bear brand. Okay, so it's not milk, it's a coolant. All right, so I'm just waiting for everything to warm up, guys. I'm gonna shoot the video after, and you can see the motor is working perfectly fine. So by the way, guys, I'm not sure why a lot of people are saying that the circuit brand is low quality, poor quality, poor performance. Personally, I don't think that's true. Um, because, guys, the public utility vehicle in the Philippines, most of those are using circuit brand. And imagine the torture um, the vehicles or the parts encounter on a daily basis. Um, so if it works for a public utility vehicle, I don't see the point why it wouldn't work on a private vehicle, right? So yeah, I'm using a circuit brand. Even my wiper blades, it's actually circuit, so it's cheap. It does the job, and yeah, that's my own opinion, guys. So it still depends to you guys. I won't blame you if you want to use an OEM or original parts, a Japan made, a Korean made. Um, it doesn't really matter. So it's user's preference. Okay.